Hey there Titans, in this video I'll show you how to use the Titan Vision AI. So I have a flow here, Titan flow, and what I've done, I've added the Titan Vision AI, just like that, next, and insert. And what you will see there is how to configure the Titan Vision AI. So Titan Vision AI can run off files, pass to it from a web project, or it can run off Salesforce IDs. I'll show you the two different scenarios. Next thing is store JSON too. So I've created a couple of variables here. I'll head over to tools, custom variables, and I've added JSON res and text res. These basically, after we parse the image, we will store these variables here. So this will be the entire JSON of that image, and this one will be the text representation of that image. The entire text without any JSON structure to it. Once we hit next, we can add some mappings, and we will see what this does in just a second. So you want to stick to what we see here, pages 1, 2, 3, 4, whatever you have on your image. So it's always great to parse the types of images that you want to parse out first, see what JSON you got, and according to that, you'll be able to have some specific mappings to specific blocks that you want to map. And we'll see this happening in just a second. So for this one, I'm just going to keep it empty, and I'll reconnect this. And in the finish slide, what we will do is return the JSON res and text res, so we can use it in our web project, which is what we will do in this instance. Let's just make sure this is published. Next up, I have a simple web project here, and that web project has a file element. So the user will be able to upload files, and then we're just parsing it with a button. So on the button action, we've added a flow. So what I've done here is just a flow, and I've selected my Titan AI web flow, and I passed the parameters there. So files to parse, and I'll show you that on the one I already created. So let's jump back over there. So configure parameters, I'm passing to it files, 2 files to parse on my flow. I'm passing the file element, and returns, I've added 2 global parameters named JSON res and text res on the web project. I'll show you that in just a second. And I'm returning these values from the flow to the project. So 2 global variables, tools, custom variables, JSON res and text res, and that's all there is to it for this. And from here we'll make the use case a little bit more complex. So what I'm going to choose for this one, for this demonstration, we're going to do a driver's license. So let's say we want to pull out the name, and we want to do something with it later on. So let's see how this looks. So what I will do is I'll just drop this over here and run parse image. Notice I have debug mode on, so I can see what I'm getting back in the JSON res. And I got this beautiful chunk of JSON. And let's just see what this contains. Okay, so we see we have a single page. Obviously, if you put a long document with multiple pages, you will have pages 1, 2, 3 to end, and same goes for the blocks. So right here it's pretty simple. So we have 1 page, and we can see we want to grab block number 4, and we want to grab block number 5 for the name. That's pretty simple. So we could do it multiple ways. Like hypothetically, we could just take that JSON and parse it directly on the web, but since we have it easy here with Titan, what we can do is do the following. So we know we want pages 1, blocks.4 and blocks.5. So what we will do is we'll go back to the flow, which is here, and we'll do pages.1, blocks.4, and I need to map it somewhere. So what I will do is I'll create 2 variables here, so custom variables on the flow. We'll call one fname and one L name. And we'll go back to our custom mapping. So pages 1 blocks 4 and then 1 blocks 5. So blocks 4 will go to first name and block 5 will go to L name. Now in my finish slide, I want to spit these out too. And again, I don't need the JSON res and text res unless I want to do some parsing on the website, but just trying to show you the multiple ways you can use this thing. Okay, that's perfect. Now let's go back to our web project and let me add 2 more custom variables. And I'll call those first name, and this one will say last name. Perfect. We'll go back to our flow invocation here on the button, and we'll say return parameters. First name, we want to grab it from F name, and last name, we want to grab from L name. That's all there is to it. Now let's just give it a dry run here before we actually do anything with it. So we'll go back to our Vision AI web project, and I'll drop that image again, and I'll hit parse. And we can see we have first name Morgan, second name Sarah, and I see that I have 1 dot over here, and I want to get rid of it. So this is just what the parsing of that image returns, because it has 1 before that Morgan name and 2 before the last name. So what I can do here is pretty simple. So we'll go after finish, and we can do it in multiple ways using formulas. We can actually parse it within Salesforce. This is very specific to this use case, but just to give you an idea of how you can use this data here. So what we will use is execute.js, and I'll say ft get param value. So we can do it really shortly, but let's just say we'll say first name ft get param value, and we'll get first name, which is our parameter there, and then we'll say last name, and we will do the same to get param value last name. That's perfect. Now we want to set these variables so we don't actually have to reuse, or we don't have to have other variables for clean ones. What we can do is very simply just do set values. So we can do here dot replace, and what we want to change is for the last name we get, let's just take a look at it again. So we get 2 point and 2 point space and 1 point space, which is perfect. We can do this. So last name 2 point space, we want to replace with nothing, and same goes for this one. Just replace the 2 with 1. Then all we got to do is, instead of ft get, we will do ft set param value, and then we'll just set here the first name to F name, and same goes for the last name. Let's just call this L name. That's all there is to it. Now it's going to parse it out and give us a clean result. Let's just see it again. So I'm going to drop that image again here, run the parse. And let's take a look at the debug, and we can see our first name is clean and last name is clean. Everything is working perfectly. Now let's just say we want to take this and we want to push it to Salesforce. So again, we can do it in multiple ways, but let's just say we'll go with the flow here, and we will say, let's say we want to create a new contact. we'll say create contact from image, and our mapping will be last name to last name and first name to first name. And in addition, let's also push the file. So we'll do files, and our mapping will be first published location ID to the contact ID, and our version data will be to our file upload. So we can have that image also what it was parsed from as well. That's good. And now we're just going to call this action. And again, I'm keeping it pretty simple. So, all right, let's drop this again. I'll parse it. Probably want to change the label here, parse and push to Salesforce, but that will do for this one. So it finished parsing, push to Salesforce. Let's see what we did here. So I'll head over to Salesforce and integration logs, and I can see my contact was created and the file was pushed. Let's take a look at this guy over here. And let's see what has happened. So we have, excuse my custom LWCs over there, so we can see our name, Morgan Sarah, beautiful. And if I'll head over to the related data, I'll see my driver's license that was used to create this contact. This is how simple this is, and it's pretty amazing. And you can obviously return the entire JSON into the project. So let's say if you wanted just to put the whole JSON that you got, or the text, the entire text, you could also push that to Salesforce. You could also display it on the screen. So let's say you throw in a paragraph over here, and you just set a value from that JSON or that entire text that we got, and we can push that as well to the contact. It's pretty simple. We have all these variables here, so we can push the text res, the JSON res, everything into a long text area in Salesforce, so on and so forth, and then continue processing within Salesforce. If you have some Apex code or a flow that can take care of it, that's great as well. So you have both options. Either you parse it yourself, or you know exactly what you want to parse and you parse it from the blocks. And you can combine it again with JavaScript, just like we did over here. Okay, so next up, let's see how we can invoke this flow from Salesforce. So what we can do here, let's head back to our Titan AI. And what I will say here, I want to pass IDs here, content version ID to this guy over here, so we can parse that in Salesforce. So let's head to our tools, and we'll go to our custom variables, and I'll add another variable, and I'll say the following. You know what, let's clone this flow so we can keep this nice and tidy. We can use both of them in the same flow. I just want to keep this one nice and clean. And let's head over to this one, and we want to change the name here. Okay, let's take a look at our tools. So we want to add a variable here. We'll call this CVID. We don't need the file variable anymore. And all we will do here is the following. We'll pass the ID, CVID, and we'll hit next, and we will parse the same image for that instance, and still have the finish flow. Technically we do not need that, but that's okay. So what we will do here is we will take Salesforce action directly, and again from here you can just receive what you have and pass it to a Salesforce flow for further processing. You can invoke Apex from here, you can do whatever you like, but let's just keep it simple. And what we will say is we will do the same situation here of creating a new contact. So we'll do user action, that's perfect, create a new contact, We don't need any conditions. This is a get, so we need a push obviously. So we'll create a new record and we can say contact, and we'll head over to mapping and we'll map our last name from our name and first name from first name. Perfect. That's all there is to it. And we will hit close and we'll select it and we're good to go. Okay, so right now we will invoke this flow from Salesforce. It will call the Titan AI with the CV ID and it will push our new contact to Salesforce. So how can we get this done? So I'll hit publish. I'll do allow Apex Process Builder flow and I'll say publish mode. And what I will do here is I'll make a note of the FT form hash and the FT API key. And all we got to do now is just create a simple flow in Salesforce. So let's say we want to create a new flow. And that will be, let's just say, a screen flow. It could be auto-triggered if you know what you want to run, which CVID, so on and so forth. What we will do here is, let's just say a screen. And let's give it a label. We'll say, and let's just drop a file upload over here. Okay, we have to fill up some info here, so just gonna zip through this. And what else do we need? Accepted formats. I'm just going to not allow this. And we should be good to go. Okay, that's that. And now all we need to do is call our flow. So we have the Titan package installed here, obviously, and I'll call the Titan flow. And FT form hash. Let's grab this from over here. And then our record ID, we need to pull from the file upload that we used over here. So just for now, I'll use ABC and we can pass on more params if we need to. We'll keep it simple for this one. What I will do here is add a variable. And since the file uploader is returning a collection of CVIDs and we need just one, you can do it in multiple ways, but technically we can do a quick loop over here. We'll say loop over CVIDs, and our collection variable will be f up, and we'll use the content version IDs. And for each item, which we're expecting only one, so we will add an assignment here, and we will say set CVID, and we'll set our CVID formula, and we'll say equals to our current CVID from CVIDs. That's all there is to it. Now all we have to do is go back over here and map the CVIDs to get to that flow. So we're all good, and we'll save. Let's activate this, and now let's just add it to, let's say, the layout here as a quick action. So we'll go back to, you know what, let's see if my account object is clear. Yeah, that's good. And let's just add this object. And let's add that screen flow over here. So we'll do button links and actions, and we'll say new action. And from here, we will say flow, and we'll call our Titan AI flow demo. We'll say Titan Vision AI. And now we're all good to go. Now when I'm thinking about it, let's make this a little bit more sophisticated. So let's say we'll go back to our flow. We will say that we want to push our contact. Let's relate it to that account that triggered it. So let's say we want to add to an account a contact from that image that we uploaded. So we'll say account ID equals to record ID, and we're going to pass that record ID in there. And then we'll just modify our screen flow a tiny bit. Let's say that we want to add parameters for the Titan flow. So if we'll go back to our Titan flow, we can see we can pass params. These params are from Apex class. So we'll do a new resource, we'll say variable, and our data type will be Apex defined. And we will say here Titan flow parameters, and we'll say allow multiple variables. So these will be flow params, and we'll hit done. And then what we will do is we'll add another one for a single variable, and we'll call this Titan flow param. And this again will be Apex defined. And I'll say my Apex class is flow, Titan flow parameters, and hit done. One more thing we want to do here is add another variable for the record ID, and that data type will be text, and we'll say available for input so we can read that account ID. And in our assignment here, all we shall do is change we'll say ft, we'll call our flow param, we'll say, so we want to start with our param, so Titan flow param, we'll say key equals current value from CVID. We'll add another assignment, we'll say Titan flow param key equals the name that we want to pass. So we'll take a look at our variable name here. So custom variables, and we want to pass CVID, so that will be the name for that param. And then all we have to do is add it to our collection. So we will say Titan flow params, and we'll do add, and we'll add our Titan flow param there. That's all there is to it. Done. Go back over here. Our record ID will be record ID, and we'll include parameters, and we'll say flow params, and everyone is happy. Save, activate, and we are good to go. Now let's just see if we can see it already in our account. Not sure if we're added it to the layout yet or not. We'll see in just a second. So Vision AI, not here. Let's go back to our object manager, account, page layouts, and let's add our quick action over here. So we'll say Vision AI, and we shall throw it over there and save. Let's refresh, see if we have it. Okay, cool. Titan Vision AI. Now let's just upload our file. I'll grab my driver's license again, drop it over here. Once that's done, obviously you can make it to look a lot nicer than this, but let's just take a look at our logs over here. So I'll go back to my Salesforce logs on the flow. I can see that I have required field missing, last name. So let's see what we missed here. So let's head over to our flow and take a look that we set the right stuff. So this is wrong. So we need Titan flow param dot value, and this one will be our key. So that should do it. And I'll save it again and activate. Let's head over here and run this again. Refresh, so we get the latest flow, Titan Vision AI. Upload files, and what we will do is drag our image there again. So just locate it and we'll drop it over here. And done. And let's refresh our screen here. And there it is. We got Morgan Sarah. It's related to our account. And it's working beautifully. So let's refresh our logs over here to see what happens. So we have the visual AI running. We got our contact created, which is the one we just saw over there. And this is how it's done.